talking to somebody right now. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you right now. And you made good decisions. You've done what you're supposed to do. But now you're taking your oil and trying to give your oil. You do not have permission, or you do not have godly authority to give the oil that was given to you to give to somebody else. They got to go get their own oil. They got to do their own work. They got to build their own relationship. You can't give your kids your oil. You can't give your spouse your oil. You better trim your own. You barely got enough for you. The challenge that I have since I've been a kid watching men is that men build with one hand and they tear down with the other. That's my only challenge to you. I don't care what you do, you grow. But what I don't like to see you do is put all this energy and effort into one thing and you build that thing up, but then you don't work on your blind spots and you tear down what you build up. I ain't tripping on no enemies or no haters. Can't nobody stop what God has for me, but I can stop what God has for me. All right, so this is why you need a coach. This is why you need people in your life, right? Because they're going to, no matter how dope you are, you have blind spots. Over 1 million people die yearly in accidents because of blind spots. And I'm gonna say that one more time. I don't care how dope you are or how dope you think you are, the best vehicle, the Mercedes-Benz, the Escalade, the Ford Fusion, no matter what vehicle it is, it has a blind spot. So the reason why we teach the way we teach is because they gonna teach you to build up, but they're not gonna say nothing to you about your blind spots. And then your blind spots is gonna tear down everything you've ever built up. And so most of you, like, really, it don't matter how dope you are. You got addictions that you're not dealing with and they're gonna kill you. So you're gonna kill you. So I wanna walk you through the strategy. So first for me, you got God in that. You got great men and women. You got the room and you got you. And you need to leverage all four of them. That's my strategy. I've leveraged all four, right? I see people all the time who do their thing and they like, bro, I ain't into that God stuff. I'm like, bro, you don't need to be in the God stuff, but it's four in the equation. You can't take one out. Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all, for real, I'm gonna show y'all. So I was blessed, y'all. I was born in the 70s. I was blessed, bro. Like I wasn't there for King and X and Garvey, but my people talk, like my grandma talked about Martin Luther King like he was a god. My mom and dad will still tell you where they were when he got shot and killed. I grew up when Martin Luther King was a thing, when our people was a thing. Hip hop artists weren't no disrespect, but hip hop artists wasn't the people, dope dealers wasn't the people we looked up to, pimps wasn't the people we looked up to. I remember a time when Black history was the real deal Holyfield. And you had to put respect. When you said Martin Luther King, my grandma had Jesus and Dr. Martin Luther King on the wall. I'm just being real. Jesus wasn't real high. And then it was King one down there. I said, no, that ain't no man. When I heard that speech, I was like, yo, there's some God in that. Some spirit in that. You hear all them people, you gotta understand, this was a time when my grandmother, when you would say white people, my grandma would talk slow, or she would quiet, or she would kind of be timid. This was a time when my people, when you would say, sir, they like, whoa, Martin was like, he had them like, He had people who were scared, people who just saw Emmett Till get shot and killed, like people who were timid. He had people like, let's go. Yep, we can do it. Like free at last, free at last. I said, that ain't no man. That ain't flesh. That's something else in him. That's something else that's speaking through him, that he got people from all over the world responding. That's difference. I knew from that day forward, ain't no way, Eric, you're going to be able to move the crowd without having God. I take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. I was like, bingo, got it. Got it. He didn't say nothing about man. He didn't say nothing about men opening the doors for you. First thing it said was, take delight in the Lord. May he give you the desires of your heart and make all your plans succeed. I've seen humans do plans that didn't work. I was like, look like if God doing your plans, they're going to succeed. I'm just being real with y'all. Like I am my father's child. I come from where my people come from. But when I was about 8 years old, I fell in love with God. When I was about 16 years old and was homeless, I went in, like you hear people talk about lifting weights. You hear people talking about money. You hear people talk about playing football, basketball. I've been on God like that since I was 16 years old. 3 o'clock in the morning, boy, I ain't been playing with God. You look at a guy who work out and they got, like Jeremy said, they got, like, if you look at me, like you can't see it because it's spiritual, but I got some traps humans don't normally get. I've been doing this thing since I was 16 years old. God all day, God all night. I ain't been playing with this thing. I ain't been playing with it so much, and I ain't perfect, but I'm telling you, I only been sexually active with Dee Dee. I ain't even slept with another person because I didn't want it to mess up. I ain't never drank. I ain't never smoked. I ain't want nothing to mess this up. And I'm as human as you are. Believe that, brothers. Don't get it twisted. I got the same desires you got. But when I looked at X, what made me love Malcolm was when Malcolm got true to the game. Malcolm didn't play with the game. Nobody had no dirt on Malcolm. When Malcolm converted, he converted. And I made up in my mind when I got started in this journey, I'm going God all the way. Because I can't trust myself. And I don't want to build something up great and have it torn down. When I build this up, I want the foundation to be strong. Because if I got to rely on me, it's coming down. Because I know who my father is and my grandfather. I know, so I'm building heavy. Many of you are building up, but you're not building down. You don't have a strong foundation. You ain't strong enough for the success that you're about to get. You're not strong enough for all the power and influence you're about to get. I started this thing. My formula was God. We going God first, nothing else. We gonna build, I ain't gotta dribble, I ain't gotta play. We just go every day. We just go 3 o'clock in the morning. And while the world may not see the significance of the 3, they gonna feel the significance of the 3. What's your foundation? What you building on? I'm not telling you God, but whatever it is, it better be strong. Because you're going to be successful. You're going to have some, you know what killed me about cats? Cats, I can't believe. I'm like, bruh, kill it. You had opportunities. You didn't steward them. Don't act like God ain't never gave you no opportunity. You've been given opportunities. You blew them. Don't make this about her. Don't make this about him. Don't make this about racism. Don't make this about your daddy and your mom. You've been given opportunities. You weren't strong enough. You weren't ready for them. You blew it. Giving 120%. When you go to work this week, I need you to do yourself a favor. I need you to put all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul into it. That's right. Attitude is everything. You know, I often tell students in school that it's not about your aptitude, it's about your attitude. That's right. It's not about your aptitude, it's about your attitude. And I'm telling you, the one thing I love about my daughter, just recently on her report card, she had a B in math, and I'm talking about she was crying. Why? Because when she goes to school, she does not go to school just because she has to go to school. She gives it 120%. So remember, my first principle is when you go to work this week, go to work. And again, we're not talking about location. We're not talking about a place. We're talking about giving 120%. When you go to work this Monday, I don't care what your job is, how many hours you work. If you work 5 days a week, 40 hours, if you do 4 12s, I don't care if you're a temp, right? You're not, you don't really have a job yet. You're just working through a temp agency. Listen to me. When you go to work this week, 120%, give it all you got. Because often in life, you will never get to the next level. Listen to me. You will never get to the next level just off talent. A lot of it has to do with attitude. So I don't care if you don't like your boss. I don't care if you don't like your job. When you go to work this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, give it 120%. Biblical reference teaches us that find a man who is diligent at his work, and he shall stand before kings and queens and not mean men. So I'm telling you, if you don't like where you are, listen to me. If you don't like where you are, if you don't like the job you work for, I guarantee you won't get to the next level, right? You won't get that promotion. You won't get transferred. You can't start your own business. You won't get a financial increase until you learn to be faithful over the little things. And once you go to work and you put in work, no matter what the situation is, whether your boss is at work, they're not at work, if you learn to put in 120%, I guarantee you one day you'll wake up 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years, I don't know, and you'll make exactly what you want to make. You'll have the job you want to have. You'll have the position that you want. You'll have everything in life that you want if you can learn not only to go to work, but I'm talking about go to work. And again, you heard me. I'm not talking about geographically. I'm talking about all your soul, all your heart, and all your might. I remember when I was younger, my father used to play a song by the OJs, and the song said that your body is here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. And so when you go to work this week, don't go just physically, but go with all your energy, all your strength, and all your spirit. And I guarantee you one day, you will be exactly where you want to be. All right, number 2, my final principle for you this Monday. Number 2 is I want you to use your job as a laboratory. Yeah, you heard what I said. Use your job as a laboratory. In the words of Allen Iverson, you talking about practice? Practice? Are we talking about practice? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because what I want you to know is where you're going to be in the future has a lot to do with what you do every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, and every Friday. I got a quick story for you. I went to a university called Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. That's right, Oakwood University, Huntsville, Alabama. And in the cafeteria, as we were going in the cab, they had a mural, right? And on the mural, it was strange. The picture was actually broken up, into 2. And on one side was the present, and on the other side was the future. And if you look closely at the picture, what you saw was there was this picture of Africans who were enslaved, and they were working the cotton fields. But it was weird because as they were working on the cotton fields of Alabama, you could see on the other side, they had this dream of what the future would be. And so on one side, you have Africans who were enslaved, and on the other side, you have physicians, astronauts, engineers, and teachers, right? And on the capture, it said, what you are to be, you are now becoming. What you are to be, you are now becoming. And so I encourage you, I challenge you to realize and to recognize that your job is just a lab. If you're going to be a boss one day, a supervisor one day, if you're going to do it big one day, you have to be faithful over few, and then you'll be rule over many. So when you go to work, everything you do, if you're faithful over the small things, one day you'll be responsible for the big things. All right, so let me paint the picture for you so I can make sure this principle is clear. So last week you saw me at UMass speaking, and I want you to know that although I was at UMass last Monday, right, doing it big, hotel, travel, financially, everything was love. You saw the shirts, right? Paraphernalia, the whole 9. Watch this. What I want you to know if you're out there watching this is that what you saw at UMass started over 20 years ago. That's right. What you saw at UMass started 20 years ago. I'll never forget I had an opportunity to do what they call in college service learning. And so I went out into one of the project areas and I started a GED program. And what I didn't realize was every single day when I did that GED program, I started the first 15 minutes with the motivational moment. That's right. You thought that the motivational moment started in 2010. But actually, in 1991, when I was a junior in college, I started a GED program. And every single day before we started class, I would read them a motivational minute and I would talk about it. Now, this is what's crazy. I don't care if 2 students showed up, 10 students showed up, or 15 students showed up. I talked to those students like it was 150 people in the room. So what you saw at UMass started over 20 years ago. And guess what? 20 years later, that's right, 20 years later, E.T. the Motivator is traveling all over the country, motivating people because I was faithful in few things. And so I encourage you, your job is your laboratory. God didn't wait for your daddy to make you a priority before he made you a priority. God didn't wait on your mama before he said before your mama knew you were in her womb, I called you. You are a priority before your mama even knew you were in the womb. I didn't wait for some doctor to tell her she was pregnant before I made you. Your problem is you don't know that you're a priority. Say it while we wait. I am a priority. I need to act like it. Shh. It's not that some man think I'm a priority and he gonna call me his wife and until I'm a wife, I'm not a priority. No, you're a priority before you become a wife. And you don't need to marry nobody to be a priority. Oh, I talk to somebody. Can I talk to somebody? Anybody? You still thinking you ain't worthy because ain't no man said you worthy. Yahweh said you was worthy. Elohim said you was worthy. You can't get no worthier than that.